Hi, Charlie.
Hello.
Thank you so much for doing this. It means so much to me. And I've
Sure.
been such a big fan from the beginning. So this is so cool because if you don't know who Charlie D'Amelio is, I guess you do not own a phone or on social media because you are the queen of TikTok. You have
Thanks.
150 when at this point, I don't know if it's changed, 151 million followers on TikTok. Can you even fathom that amount of people?
I mean, I don't know if anyone really could. Have you ever seen, even a million people? How
No.
does that, it doesn't really make sense.
Like I mean even for me, like knowing that there's people who are following your every move, millions of people know all these like intricate details about your life. Has that like changed the way that you move in the world?
Honestly, no. I feel like I I kind of do all the same stuff that I did before. I spend a lot of time like in my house. I'm not really out a lot. When I go out, I kind of stay to myself. So I'm like, I don't know. A lot. I feel like because so much of this happened throughout the pandemic and like not being able to see anyone, it made it really hard to kind of feel like I was anyone special because you weren't seeing these people. You would see the comments that were like, "We love you. We're such a big fan," but you don't know any of these people, so it's really hard to kind of understand what that even means. Like, what people are a fan of me? Like, what am I doing? I'm doing what everyone else is doing. Um, but it only time it gets real is like when I do something really crazy and I get home and I have that like, who am I? Like this is not normal. This is really, really weird, cool stuff that I'm doing. And there's people watching what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll post a video and be like, that was so stupid. And then I post it, and I'm like, a lot of people are gonna see that. Are you sure? Like, or what are you doing? It's definitely a little weird, but I think I'm very lucky to where it doesn't feel like I'm a completely different person than I was before all
Mhm. Yeah. What when you first downloaded TikTok, like what was the goal? Was the like did you have a dream like, "Oh, I want to blow up on this app and I want this to be like a career path for me," or was it just something like any other person just for fun?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the app as a viewer, and my job was to teach all my friends the TikTok dances so they could post them. That was like I was that friend that would just, you learn this and you teach it to me so I can post it, which I love. I think it's so fun, and the fact that this all happened just through an app, like it really just like changed my life from posting videos on social media, which is something that I've always loved videos. I was very young, like watching YouTube, watching Vine, watching all the influencers, and I thought that that was so cool and something that was always really inspiring. I always talked about, oh, I want to post YouTube videos, and I would do like get ready with me's just and keep them in my camera roll when I was like 10. That was always something that I did, and it's crazy to think that doing that growing up probably helped me so much to do what I do now.
Did you know how to like edit your own videos or would you just like throw them up there and not care? Like cuz I feel like that's also another skill in itself. It's like being the person in front of the camera, but then also editing all the stuff and putting it up to where people actually enjoy watching it. People don't understand it. It's like a talent what you do.
I
The
mean,
whole thing.
it's crazy. I would dance a lot, like literally just dance in my basement or my attic in my old house in Connecticut. And I would like go in iMovie after I would finish and like get all the clips together and get together all my favorite parts. And I would edit those myself. And I would do that with like the little TikTok videos. But I feel like the best part about TikTok is that you really don't have to do much. It's all in the app, it's all not crazy software that you have to memorize. It's like very easy for the everyday person to kind of get the grasp on. Like once you understand it, I feel like it just makes sense.
Mhm. No, I agree. I mean, easy is relative. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, but I do think they make it if you understand the software, take the time to do it, it makes
Yeah.
it really easy.
It's also
But
like
you
the more
start
you watch it, I feel like the more
yes.
it makes sense. So for
Eh,
all the teenagers out there, like they're on their phones all the time. I'm on my phone all the time, and that's also like how I learn, how I find trends, how you find sounds. Like you have to use the app to be able to do that stuff.
is TikTok still enjoyable for you because now it's a business? Can it sometimes feel like work?
Yeah, I think that that's like the craziest mix, you know? I mean, it was funny when it all first started, and I was like 15 years old, and I'd be like, "What are you guys gonna do? You guys gonna take my phone?" To my parents, be like, "This is my job. Look at me." Um, but I feel like I use social media so much just as a viewer, as a watcher, as someone that just enjoys seeing what's going on social media. And then that Charlie D'Amelio who posts and does the TikToks, like that whole other side of me, I feel like is just so disconnected sometimes, where I don't feel like, oh, I saw this on my For You page. I need to recreate it right now. I really only make videos when I feel like it and post when I feel like it. And I think the only person that like would make me feel like it's a job and I need to like do better or post more is really myself.
It seems like even at this age, you're like, yeah, I I just post when I feel like it, but you obviously have a like a very regimented brain and thought process of you've created something that not everybody has. Like, have you always been that way? Been like very like motivated, structured, and when you've decided you're going to do something, like you go all in, or was this kind of new?
No, I definitely have a very structured brain. I work well with a schedule. If I have to be all in for something, like I can do it. I can put my all into anything, you know. When I enjoy it, you definitely see how much farther it goes, which I think is really helpful because if you're able to, tell your team that's working with you, like, you guys have seen me when I really, really care about something, how well it does and how much I will like work for it. I think that that's helpful, but it's definitely, I go back and forth. A lot of my time doing this, I was, you know, 15, 16, 17 years old. It's a little hard trying to get a 16-year-old to work when they just want to hang out with their friends, but it's just always keeping in mind that like I do this for a reason. I do this for the people that got me to where I am, and I think slacking sometimes when it comes to posting or whatever, like you're doing a disservice to the people that got you where you are, and you want to continue to make stuff for them. And I feel like that's what really helps me, because sometimes it's hard when it's just you and like you rely on yourself, because, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it the next day. But when you really think about the people that come up to you when they meet you and are like saying how much you help them, or whatever it is, like makes you kind of go the extra mile. um and I think just keeping in touch with those people and the fans that really make you who you are, and appreciating them and appreciating where you came from, like not leaving behind TikTok for something else and being like, oh, I'm not a TikToker, because I am, like, that's where I came from. I'm not going to be embarrassed about it. Like, that is what got me to where I am. That's what made me Charlie D'Amelio. It's like really just appreciating and understanding the the fact that I would not be where I am today in California. I mean, doing what I do every day without those people.
I think that you're so right of especially in this business and what you're doing, it can always it's very you centric. Like you are the brand. And
Hmm.
with that, it can feel very um selfish, but you have to remind yourself. I love how you're like I have to remind myself, and it makes it easier to do things when it's for other people. And I think that's where you're going to always find the joy in what you do. It can't just always be about yourself. So I like it feels so good to hear that from you as someone who you would I mean there's millions of people who care about you and you're doing it for them. And I think that's why you continue to grow and continue to be so successful outside of TikTok. But there's one thing you keep that you do that I think is cute, but you'll be like Charlie D'Amelio in air quotes. And you've talked about kind of like how you disconnect sometimes from like the, I guess, the brand Charlie D'Amelio and who you are when the cameras aren't away. How do you do that when some of your most, like, I mean, you have your own show with your whole family, the D'Amelio show on Hulu. And I think with TikTok, it's a very personal social media. So how do you kind of disconnect from, and how are you different than the Charlie D'Amelio in air quotes that people get, and the you that is more private and for like your personal life?
Yeah, I think it's just the constant being able to blame everything on, like, "That wasn't me, that was Charlie D'Amelio." Like, that's not anytime I'm like, "Oh, this is cringy, this is lame, I'm like, "This is so basic, I'm such a loser." I'm like, "That's not me, I don't know what that is." Um, so it's nice to, like, have that sometimes, but I feel like it's helpful if someone's like, "Oh, I hate Charlie D'Amelio." I'm like, "That's great, but you don't hate Charlie because you don't really know me. You don't know me as a
Mm.
person, you know me, like, you've never met me, you've never had a conversation with me. You can hate what I post online, but that's also like, the name is Charlie D'Amelio online, like, that's what you see. That's who people kind of view me as, and yeah, that's who I am, that's how I portray myself, but there's also so much more that I feel like I kind of just keep special for the people that actually know me.
When you meet new friends, do they ever like say like, "Oh, I thought you'd be different," or do they think you're a lot like how you present yourself through
No.
your social media?
Everyone's like, "When I met you, I was so nervous, I thought you were gonna be this, like, uber diva, crazy, whatever," and I feel like it kind of throws people off how kind of calm I am, because I think online, I'm very smiley, in your face, and that's just so different from who I am when you meet me, and I tend to be more shy and reserved, so it's kind of, I think, hard for some people to understand at first. They're like, "Okay, well, what's going on with this girl?" But I love hearing that from my friends to be like, "I didn't expect you to be the way you are," because it's kind of fun. It's also nice to hear what people think I'm gonna be like before they meet me.
Yeah, I love that too. How are your friends who have grown up with you? Like, how do you still relate to your friends now that your life has changed I would say drastically?
Um, Honestly, it kind of goes back and forth. Like, all my friends are in college now, and I'm looking at them like, "Oh my goodness, this is the craziest thing ever." Because I didn't even finish high school. Like, I never got those experiences. So getting to hear about, like, "Oh, I'm rushing," or "I'm gonna be in a sorority," I'm like, "Oh my goodness, tell me everything. I know nothing about this." And I think what they're doing is so cool. So to hear, like, us talk about what is our normal lives, it's it's different than when we were all just in high school having classes together. Like, I'm so intrigued by what they do. I'm like, "Show me your dorm. I wanna meet your roommate. Like, what is going on in your life?" And they send me photos from, like, tailgates, and I'm like, "You guys are so cool." I'm like, "I'm a loser. I'm in bed right now. Like, what is going on?" So, it kinda goes back and forth, but the friends that I've had for years are, like, the most supportive people ever, and they're just, like, so happy that we all just stay in contact. I think,
Mhm.
it's when everyone goes to college and is out of high school and everyone's in different states and different cities, a lot of people grow apart and they've never been like, "You're not texting me." Like, they're like, "Hey, I know you're working, like, call me when you get the chance." And it's like, then we can talk about what's going on in their lives, what's going on in my life, and they'll be like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, nothing, same old, same old." They're like, "I know that's not true." So they'll, like, kinda force me to kind of talk about what's going on even when I'm like, I feel like nothing's going on. And they're like, no, no, you just did this crazy thing for work. So it's like, it's the same thing. But all my friends are so cool. And I'm just constantly impressed by how they all handle themselves. Like, even when they're with me or when people ask about me, they're always like, there's this level of trust where they're not going to say anything that I wouldn't want them to say, or like secrets about me. Like, I know that they would never put me in a position to where I would feel any type of way towards them, because they're just like the most loving, supportive, kind people ever.
You kind of talked about this a little bit about people like online will say, "Oh, I hate Charlie D'Amelio," or "That's so cringe." And a lot of that you work with is cyberbullying and bringing awareness to that. How has that affected you as a content creator when there are constant cyber bulliers out there just always having something negative to say? How do you continue to put out content?
Yeah, I think my worst time with hate and social media was probably at like, I mean, I must have been 16, 17 years old. Um, and nowadays I just kind of think back and I'm like, if you could get through that crazy time in your life, you're going to be fine. And I feel like now I just have so many people around me that will help me out of it, but I've definitely like, we all have our days. The more sure of yourself you are and the more you have people that you can kind of bounce ideas off of and be like, real talk, you need to tell me, like, do I make everything about myself? Am I a horrible person? Am I mean? Am I cruel? And you need to have people around you that are going to tell you what you need to hear and not just what you want to hear. And trust those people and trust their opinions. And then from there, it kind of, that and some therapy definitely help.
Yes. Who are those people in your life that will kind of keep you grounded and lift you up, but also be real with you of when you can improve and get better?
Definitely my dad is a big one. Um, he has always, like, from as long as I can remember, if I made art, he's gonna grade it, and it's not gonna get an A if it doesn't deserve it, Like, he's always been very, very honest with me, and I feel like that's why I go to him for a lot of any issues or anytime I'm questioning myself, because, yeah, maybe it sucks when I get a D on an art project from him, but he's also gonna tell me, hey, you need to get your stuff together. You need to figure it out. Or you can calm down. Like, you're doing great. Everything is good. You're good. I'm good. There's no need to be so upset about this. And I feel like having that and knowing that he's not going to lie to me is so nice. And I feel like everyone needs someone who's going to tell them the truth, even if it's hard to hear.
I so agree with this. I'm unfortunately the person, unlike your dad, I'm the person that I can't help but find the thing that can be improved on. But because I'm like that, I really want other people to be like that towards
Mm,
me. I'm like, no, do not tell me it was good because there was
yeah.
something that could have been better, which kind of gets me to probably, um, I can already, I probably already know what you're going to say about your Dancing with the Stars experience because I think that is like what makes you successful in Dancing with the Stars. If you guys don't know, Charlie went Dancing with the Stars last year. What season was that? Season
31.
31. Um, and I think successful people are the people that can take constructive criticism and can find the like, yes, it's so great that you did this, this, and this right, but what can improve? Do you feel like that is what made you successful in Dancing with the Stars? Is that being a little bit critical of yourself?
I
That's just kind of bad, but it
I'm
works.
so, so, so lucky. I think I was so beyond blessed to have gotten the partner that I got. Mark Ballas,
He's the
he's
best.
he's my dear friend. I'm like,
Oh my
poor
gosh.
him in BC. I'm like their adopted teenager that they just have to deal with third wheeling around. I'm like, hey guys. They're probably so sick of me and I don't care. They can't get rid of me. Um, there would be times where we're like, it's the middle of the night. We're tired running on Celsius and Red Bull. Like, there is not an actual thought in our brains. And we'd get to the point where we have to be like, we're going to hurt ourselves if we keep going. We both need to calm down because we would just, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. We need to keep going. There was times where I'm like, in the rehearsal studio, like holding back tears. I'm like, just get it done, get it done. I'm like, my toes are bleeding, my ribs hurt, my back's hurt. He's like limping, his knees are messed up. And it just, well, there, tomorrow we'll figure it out. And we would just, it was never ending. We were never not rehearsing, we were never not together. It was like consumed our lives 7 days a week, hours and hours and hours. It was never ending, but to a point where that was exactly what I needed. I needed to be reminded that I have that work ethic in me and that
Mhm.
when I really put my mind to something, it can be achieved. And he would every Sunday, because our shows are on Monday, I would sit in my trailer and cry. And every single Sunday, I don't know what it was, I would go in my trailer and like cry a little bit and be like, I suck. This is my week out. This is not going to happen. And Mark would, sometimes he would come in and we would just like kind of sulk together. Sometimes he'd be like, it's okay. And then sometimes he'd be like, well, then let's get to rehearsal. Like you never knew what was coming, but he always knew how to push me without pushing me too far, making sure that I still had confidence in myself, but also kicked my butt a little bit, a lot.
Yeah. Okay, it's interesting what you said about Dancing with the Stars is like what you needed to feel like you had that work ethic. Why did you feel like Dancing with the Stars is what you needed? Because I'm looking at everything you've done and I'm like, you've just created multiple brands for yourself, this empire that your whole family is a part of. What's the difference between that and the work ethic that you felt like you put in with Dancing with the Stars?
I mean, for me growing up, I never was sitting still. I was in
Mhm.
school, I was in dance class. I was the last to leave dance class, I was the first to show up, I was working, working, working. I'd stay late. I'm like, can I work on my solo? Can I improv? What can I do? I need to do something. So growing up that way, that's since I was like very, very young. And then having this, it came fairly easily for me. And I'm so lucky for that. But I think with that, I lost that little bit of, well, I need to put my all into this and make it the best I can. And I kind of forgot I had that. I was like, maybe that's just not who I am anymore. Maybe I'm not that person anymore. And I grew out of it, and the show kind of brought me back and showed me like, no, you're still that same person and you can do that. You just have to apply yourself like you used to. And maybe you're just not giving it your all. And it kind of made me want to work harder and remind myself, like, yeah, you can wake up early, you can get your stuff done, you can come home and work on it more. Like, that's who you are. And I feel like I'm so appreciative that's been brought back into my life 'cause it also makes everything so much easier when you give yourself the permission to give so much energy into everything you do.
How have you been able to take what you learned from knowing that you thrive off that into, your daily life and into your business now?
Yeah, I think when you're at a shoot for 12 hours and you're getting to that like 3/4 mark and you're kind of fizzling out, you can kind of snap into that, like, you've done harder, you've done crazier.
Mhm.
So just you got to show up, You got to you could just push for that little last bit. It's those little things. And even in my everyday life where I'm like, I really don't feel like waking up early, but I don't want to ruin my schedule and I just need to get my stuff done. It's like, well, no, you can. You just have to do it. Like, you're the only person stopping yourself. You just got to get up, go outside, feed the dogs, clean the kitchen, whatever it is. It's like all those things that seems so simple, but sometimes you just need that extra reminder of I'm capable of so much more than I think I am. I just have to apply myself.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's something that I was literally just talking about because some days are crazy jam packed, but on the days when it's not, like you can make excuses
Mm.
really easily about not getting up and not doing the things that you know are going to make you feel good and set you up for success. I want people to tell me what to do, and
It's so much
it's
easier.
so much easier because I'm a
Tell
good
me
rule follower,
literally,
but I have
tell
to
me
make
I
the
need to be
rules.
here at this time. I'm good. I got it. I'll be there. Tell me,
Yes,
"Well, yeah, get here when you want." I'm gonna get there a little bit late, you know?
late.
It's like
Yeah. So your family, it's I feel like it's kind of become a family business
yeah.
because of your success, I think also your family also kind of became a part of being the family of TikTok. What is it like working with your family? What's the best part and what's the hardest part of it?
I mean, working with your family is a blessing and a curse. I love my family. I'm super close with my family. We spend a lot of time together, way more than I think we should. But I mean, I live with my sister. It's us two in a house together. I'm with my parents all the time. It's great to have other people that are going through exactly what you're going through. But we got a lot of personalities in our family, a lot. And we're all kind of like each other, which does not make anything easier. Like my dad and I, we can argue forever. And he's always been, since I was really young, he's like, I'll hear you out. You want to debate me on something you know nothing about? I'll hear you out. It doesn't matter. He's always been like that. So I've always felt like, well, I can say what I think. He's always given me the space to say my opinion and what I think, and we can always have a conversation. Me and my sister, we get into a lot of petty arguments because we're sisters, and that's just kind of how it works, you know? We we fight about anything and everything, but also like I know she'll defend me to the death. Like she is my biggest cheerleader always, but then, you know, I'm breathing too loud while she's driving me and she's like, "Can you shut up?" I'm like, "Okay, psycho, calm down." Um and my mom, it's honestly really easy working with my mom. We get along great. We like never really argue or anything. She's really easy. We're both super, like, sensitive and emotional, so we just, like, have a lot of cute talks, like, "I'm so proud of you, I'm so proud of you," like, love you." Everything's, like, great, but I love it. It's really fun. It's also nice to kinda be like, "Well, you take the lead on this," or, like, "You answer the interview questions today because 'cause I'm tired and, like, I'm gonna pass that one off to you." So it's nice to be able to do that, and they they also like, if I give a look, like, they know exactly what I mean, and we can all adjust to however who's the most energetic right now, who needs, like, some time to themselves. We can always work that out pretty well without saying much, which is nice.
Has there ever been moments where when it's been really hard that you're like, wish you could go back to the way it was before? Or are is it always worth it?
There's definitely been times where, um, I just wanna be a normal kid, and I
Mhm.
wanna be able to mess up like a normal kid. I wanna be a stupid teenager, you know? I wanna make stupid mistakes that I'm supposed to be making in college right now, like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I would never I would never wanna stop doing this or give it up because one day I'm having a bad day. Because emotions are so in and out, you never know. Something amazing could happen the next day and, like, you quit before you got there. Like, you don't wanna let the people that make you feel like you wanna quit or whatever it is win. There's just so many different ways to think about it where this always is worth it. This is such
Mhm.
a one in a million chance, that it would be stupid to give it up because maybe I couldn't handle it one day 'cause you're stronger than that, you know?
Mhm.
How many times have I wanted to quit and I just pushed through it and then to the next level and to the next level, and it just keeps getting better, and feel like I've been through some of the worst, and I did it, you know? Like, I'm
Mhm.
still here, I'm still posting, no one got rid of me yet. It's like, you can do it, you know? It's
Yeah.
as much as it sucks sometimes, to be able to go through that and come out the other side is, like, it's so rewarding.
Yeah. What's the coolest thing that you've gotten to do so far?
I
You got to do
think
a lot of cool things, so it's probably
yeah,
hard to to
honestly,
answer.
I think I have 2. One would be co-hosting the Kids' Choice Awards and Dancing with the Stars.
Why why those 2 things?
Dancing with the Stars because I feel like that was the first time I really proved myself, and I really had to work for it, you know, and I really put in the work. Like, I was in the studio with Mark every single day, like, hours and hours and hours, never stopping, no matter what, like, injured, whatever, feet bleeding, whatever, ribs out, whatever, like, you gotta keep going, and I really got to sit back after that, and I felt like I deserved it, and I hadn't felt like I deserved anything in a while.
You definitely deserved it. Charlie, I've done the show as well, and I would watch it. Me and my fiancé would watch it. I'm like, technically, it was it was amazing. It was
Thank you.
so, so good. As someone who's, like, experienced that and knew, like, what you were doing, it was
Yeah,
so
if
impressive.
you've
I
been
just
through it, you know
Yes.
how crazy it is.
And knowing, like, even you being like, "She's not like, you might actually you probably did have a popped out rib." Like, I think everybody on that show hurts their ribs.
I
I'm
remember
still dealing with it.
one week we were doing a lift, and it was a Simpsons week when I we dressed up as the Simpsons, and
Yes.
Mark's entire fist went behind my rib cage, and it was like half my ribs were like that, and I had to go and get them popped back in, and it was literally the finale. I had 2 infected ingrown toenails, like, I could barely walk.
It was a journey, but, I just had to tell you that. I just was so impressed by you with that. And
Thank
then I've obviously been watching the D'Amelio show on Hulu, season 3. I'm caught up, and I saw that you, hosted the Kids' Choice Awards, and I thought and you kinda talked about how why you wanna do that, and it's out of your comfort zone. You've never done something like that. How did you prepare for that and not let the fear of how big of an opportunity that was get in the way?
Honestly, and we always circle back to Dancing with the Stars, I had Mark there every step of the way. Like, literally over the garbage can, he's holding my hair back, like, I'm about to throw up, I'm so nervous. He is the only person that, like, I can look at him, and if he does the, like I'm like, "Okay, I'm good. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing good." It's just there's something about our relationship that having him there makes me feel so comfortable and makes me feel like I could do anything. And I mean, I'm beyond thankful for the show just due to the fact that I found people like him in BC to have in my life where I can just lean on them for anything.
That I think that's so important if you're going to be in the industry that you're in to have those people that are in your corner that get it, but like you said, just like even that little head nod, that's like,
Mhm.
"Okay, it's time to go." So, I have to talk about the show, obviously. There's been some sister drama. You and your sister both, are on social media. Whole family's involved. And do you feel like having the people around you all the time make you fight more, or does it make you less likely to really get into it?
I feel like it can happen at any moment. I think
You
that
could breathe
what's
wrong.
different is, like, having to talk about it after, when they'll be like, "So your fight," and I'm like, "Well, we fought like 50 times in the last week. Which one are you talking about?" Um, it's so inevitable. Like, yeah, I love her more than anything, and I would do anything for her. But yeah, I want to rip her head off sometimes. It's how it works. That's like the whole part of being sisters. So,
Yeah.
sometimes it definitely adds to it when there's like people around and we're both frustrated and like she says something snappy, I say something back. It's like, yeah, it's definitely doesn't help when we're around other people. I feel like we also let it go a lot easier when it's just us.
Mhm. Well, because you aren't having a producers or people.
Yeah.
You have a reality TV show, so yes, it's your real life, but you're also there has to be a narrator of the
Mhm.
show, and y'all all kind of take that time. And so I wonder if having to go back and talk about one of the fights or something that happened, does that help you feel like y'all talk things out and move forward? Or do you think it sometimes like exasperates the drama and makes it like live longer?
Yeah, we never talk about like our fights after. It's a
Mhm.
very like I don't think we've really ever resolved a fight between us. It just always like goes away. Either I get over it or she gets over it and we just move on. Like we don't have that
Mhm.
conversation. I feel like we're so far past that where
Mhm.
that's just not who we are as sisters. So to have a resolution, it's like, well, yeah, we resolved that like 10 minutes ago because we went and got food together. Like
Yeah.
it didn't
We're
have to be a
good.
conversation. I was like, you
Yeah.
can wear my shirt and look, everything's solved. Like it's so
Yeah.
much easier than that. And honestly, a lot of our fights weren't even about each other, you
Mhm.
know? Like we would fight all day and then come home and either one of us would have a breakdown or we'd talk like it's not even about you. I'm mad at something else, but I can't say what I'm mad at, so I'm just mad at you because it's easier. And I know you're
Mhm.
not gonna take it to heart, you know?
And that's not even just being on a TV show. I think that's most people when
Yeah.
we're mad about something and really don't have the words or feel like you can't talk about it just yet. I mean, my mom, was always the person that got the brunt of everything when I was stressed, and now it's my fiance Adam because he's the closest person, and it's always
Yeah.
the people that you know are gonna love you no matter what, even if
100.
you're a little bitch, the people that get it the worst.
Oh,
But
yeah.
with what was going on a lot in this season, I'm interested to hear what it's like watching it back now because your family was going through a difficult time. Both you and your mom were on Dancing with the Stars, and I know that that is all consuming, as we've talked about, and that your family, I feel like, has done everything together, and now it's like your mom's doing her own thing for the first time, and you're doing your thing, and it did create some tension for your parents. And I found it really interesting to watch you and Dixie struggle with that because I think it's really hard. And my parents, I think your parents have a great relationship, but I know what it's like, kind of being the middle person when your parents are fighting. But you're doing it with a lot of people watching you. How did you navigate that? What was that like? And what is it in the moment? And what is it like now watching it back and now everybody kind of knowing what was going on in your personal and family life?
For us, or you know what, for me specifically, I feel like I've lived the same thing like 10 times. You
Mhm.
lived it when you're going through it, and then we start filming and they want to talk about it. And then they're asking you about it in the interviews for the show. And then you're getting the cuts back of the show, and now we're talking about it, hearing what everyone else said about it, and then recuts of the show, and then interviews for press for the show, and they've seen it, but the rest of the world hasn't. And then the show's coming out, and now everyone else is seeing it. It's like honestly probably a little traumatic in ways.
You're obviously in such a different place in your life, and now you're having to continue to be asked about something that happened like a year ago, basically at this point.
Yeah.
Um, how do you how do you guys as a family stay together when you're having to like relive some of the hardest moments of your life?
I mean, for me, I tend to back away when there's anything going on in the family. Like, I'm very to myself. I kind of stay a little disconnected, which I know my family doesn't love that I do, but it's just what's easiest for me
Mhm.
to process things on my own. So I feel like the fact that we've all kind of had the time, because it was like a year ago, to process all of this on our own has given us the space to, when we're asked about it, we know how we're feeling right now. So we kind of talk about it in a way where it's like, well, this is where we are now,
Mhm.
not really going back too much. I am glad that
Mhm.
we're not keeping everything a secret and pretending like everything's okay all the time. Makes
I
me
think
feel
what you
like I can be a real person.
Yeah, I think everybody is longing for more authenticity in their life and the things that they consume. And what I've loved seeing, especially really Dixie, specifically in these first few episodes, being so vulnerable about like how hard it was to keep it together and then to then start seeing like your side of things. I think it's so important and so necessary, especially when it does look like, in a few years your life completely changed and you have been gifted all these amazing things not without hard work, but for people to really not feel alone in any type of family dynamic that they're going through. But just watching your show and seeing how your family is really trying to work together, work through these issues and not always getting it right, but still continuing to love each other. That makes people feel less alone and gives them hope. So it's a really brave thing that you can do. I know it's not easy. Trust me. I know it's not easy living some of like your hardest things out for the world to have opinions on. But I think the silver lining in it all is kind of what you said at first. Like you do all these the things that you do, not for yourself, but for other people. And your show is helping a lot of people and their families. So I think it's great. If you have not watched the D'Amelio show, season 3 is out right now on Hulu. I have just a few more questions for you about just like what you want. Like what is something that you have not created yet that you would love to make happen in your career?
Mm. Feel like I want to do something else with dancing. Uh,
Mhm.
I feel like right now I'm kind of at a standstill of trying to figure out what I want to do next. I'm kind of just, I feel like going with whatever life is throwing at me. Honestly, the end of this year so far has been amazing. And I feel like I've been able to accomplish so much just in these past few months that I don't know, I kind of took some time within these last few weeks. Obviously, working a lot, but also not really preparing for what's next. So I feel like I'm kind of taking a break, but also like doing little random side quests. Like Dixie texted me the other day. She was like, I want to learn how to dance. Can you teach me how to I want to do contemporary and lyrical. She's like, what do I need to get? And I'm like, oh, you want me to teach you how to dance? Like, what? Um, and she's like, I just want to do it for fun. And I was like, all right, sounds great. So that's going to be something random that we're going to do together, which is going to be really fun. So I feel like it's little things like that. I got a dog. So this is the first time I'm like raising a dog on my own. I
So
have
hard.
I have my like old girl. She's 9.
Mhm.
She's my baby. Still, she's always going to be a baby to me. But then I got a puppy, so that's been taking a lot of time. But she's a sweet girl.
No, it's a lot. I have my Wally and he's like he's just out now about to be 2, but it is so hard. It's a full-time job
Oh yeah.
raising a puppy. Um, advice would you have for younger Charlie who had no idea that any of this was about to happen?
Mm. I would probably just say calm down. I've always been a very stressed person, always anxious about like what's next. What am I gonna do to make whatever happen next? Like I didn't need to be planning my entire life out when I was like 13 because it's all gonna work out. And my life plan did not happen, but it amazing things happened. Like
Mhm.
yeah, it wasn't on track with what I maybe had on my vision board, but it all worked out, and I love my life, and great things are happening. So I didn't need to stress as much as I did.
Any advice for those that look up to you and like want to do content creation? What would you say to those people who are out there being like, I just want to be Charlie D'Amelio when I grow up?
Um, for years growing up, I always wanted to post YouTube videos, post little videos, whatever. Like that was always something that I found so interesting. But I was always too nervous to do it. And once I
Mhm.
started to gain followers on social media, I remember this one kid that I went to high school with texted me and he was like, I remember you talking about wanting to post YouTube videos forever. Like, it's really cool that you're finally doing that. Like,
Yeah.
that little text meant so much to me because it's like, yeah, I have wanted to do this and now I'm doing it. So once you get over that fear of being
Mhm.
judged or is it going to work out? Like, we all post for no one before we have followers. Like,
Mhm.
we were all posting content. Maybe someone's gonna see it, maybe not, you know? Everyone starts from somewhere. So I feel like you just have to keep doing it and don't get discouraged because you never know when your time is gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's probably going to be in a different way, in a different time, place than you ever expect it to be.
Yeah, maybe
And it's
there's gonna
usually
be a new
better.
and who
Yeah.
knows? New app
Who
and it's brand new, whole new group of people. You never know.
That's right. That's right. Charlie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your crazy busy day to meet with me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so excited to continue watching you just grow and do amazing things. So
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much.